The French Revolution was fought in 10,000 places, from Paris, France and the Vendée to Trafalgar and the Al-Azhar Mosque in Cairo. All the French were involved in it, and over 200,000 people, 1.5% of the population, died in it. In 7 short years, from the initial rumblings to the full-blown terror, the whole of the world would bear witness to an awesome explosion that could not and would not be contained. While the dynamite of a crumbling regime, famine, and social antagonism laid waste to the France of 1789, the initial match had been struck much earlier. In French, the period called the Enlightenment is referred to as the siècle des Lumières, or the Century of Lights, and this match lit in the darkness would soon illuminate all the Western world. Any understanding of this country has to be based, and I mean really based, on our understanding of the Enlightenment. I believe that firmly. It defined us. The Revolution did what it did. Our resistance in the German occupation in World War II did what it did. But the Enlightenment defined us as what we are, and it opened us to what we became, good and bad things. And it is very necessary if you're going to understand the modern French character to learn about this enormous shift in thought. It was the crossroads of our being, and it was a hell of a crossroads. The Enlightenment would bring together people from across the whole of Western culture. Their debates, their writings, and their beliefs would change each other, and they would change the world. Among them were 2 giants, and they hated one another. One was a Swiss, a walking contradiction that was a cosmopolitan populist, a deviant moralist, an anti-theater playwright, and a highly religious figure that also reveled in BDSM, exhibitionism, and adultery. The other, a Frenchman, a witty libertine who claimed that he was the bastard son of a pronounced nobleman. He wrote over 20,000 letters and drank 50 to 72 cups of coffee a day. It would be these 2 men whose writings would ignite the fire that swallowed a nation.
I'm Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and my thoughts on Voltaire is that I don't want to be a bit of a sassy man, but his ideas I don't agree with it one bit. I think man is born good and natural, but once institutions come into play, that's when he becomes corrupt.
Yeah, I actually read Rousseau's Social Contract, and I have to say, it was awful. It was just animalistic, naive, barbaric piece of writing, and I think I'm actually dumber for reading it. I mean, man is born free. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. He doesn't understand the need for structure.
Hold on. It's all the hard work I put in, everything I've done, it really gets me. It really hurts me to see such a person with such mean words, and I really don't.
Are you serious? He cried? That's hilarious. You see, how could the French people ever entrust themselves to such an emotionally unstable, frankly, I think mentally incompetent person? Unbelievable that the French people...
At first glance, the little building painted in navy blue and draped in window flower boxes 2 doors down from a pizzeria in Paris is the opposite from legendary. But the Café Procopé, located at number 13 Rue de l'Ancien Comité, is worth a second look. It was this cafe back in the 18th century that played host to Enlightenment celebrities and their pronounced debates, and by this token, the oldest restaurant in Paris can claim that it might well be the birthplace of the Revolution. In fact, it was in this compacted space that a diverse universe of thought was being fought over. and a certain pair of patrons clashed harder than all the rest. On one side of the schism was Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and on the other hand was François-Marie Arouet, or as he was better known, Voltaire. Rousseau was a misanthrope who loved the idea of mankind, and Voltaire was an extroverted socialite who couldn't stand it. Rousseau's claim to fame was The Social Contract. This book described a mutual yet invisible relationship between those in power and those who received the benefits of the power. Between them, a government was based, and should one party violate the other's freedoms or liberties, the other party should have the right to redact the contract and base another form of government on a different one or the same one, all with the same goal of a social, stable society. Voltaire's literary gift to the Revolution were the Letters from England, a selection of correspondence that he had made during his exile from France due to a feud between nobility. In them, he detailed all of the liberties that England had given versus the ones in France that did not exist. These were notable in showing all the failings of the modern French state, while showing what it could be in all of their failings. In some ways highly critical and acerbic, Voltaire shows his true wit in exposing false grandiosity of an ancient regime. These two works were famous in not only showing the failings of the European state, but also showing what it could be, and this could be transformed itself into would be once the final match reached the final bit of dynamite and the explosion set France on fire. However, it is indeed ironic to look back at the fact that Rousseau and Voltaire both imagined simple, structured, and almost even manageable revolutions when compared to what they received. William Blake probably says it best in his poem when he proclaims, mock on, Voltaire, Rousseau, mock on, 'tis all in vain. You throw the sand against the wind, and it blows it back again."